Welcome to The Logic Loop, the podcast where strategy meets story and community drives growth.
This is your space for bite-sized, high-impact conversations on marketing, entrepreneurship, and the tech shaping our industry.
I'm Faith Boone, founder of Boone Logic, and my co-host is Sam Hale, Boone Logic's digital content director. And today we're going to dive into the topic of phones versus cameras and what you really need or possibly don't need when it comes to creating your engaging content.
Joining us this episode is Logic Loop guest Matt Barker, the partner and studio manager at New Image Media.
Woo, woo, woo. Hey, Matt.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be the first guest. I'm the co-owner and studio manager at New Image Media. We're a video production company in Cleveland area. We help businesses and agencies with video, photography, animation, graphics, editing, live events. We do a lot. Yeah. And we're celebrating this year, 30 years in business this year. So we've seen a lot of change with how video gets made and used. So that's why this topic is so exciting, right? Because we've seen the phone versus camera. It's been, and we were in tape before, VHS tape. We were never really filmed, but VHS tape. It's so we've gone through a lot of transitions. So I think this will be a good conversation.
The way that we can take video now is just so astronomically different from before. I remember when I was a kid, I was just so upset with Barney because if I wanted to get on the show, I had to have a video recorder and I had to send in an actual tape of myself as an audition. If only we had smartphones back then.
Right.
Like boom, boom, boom.
You would have been with Barney.
Yeah, Barney, I love you too. I mean, we're in Barney colors. But that's just so wild. Like, Matt, from your perspective, because you guys do so much video with different people, you have your studio and you do different segments. Like, what do you think is like the biggest positive change and the most crucial negative change you've seen and how video is captured today? I hope that's a question that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, the positive, I think, is the access, right? Is that like everybody has access now. And I think that's a good thing. Maybe that's the negative too, right? Because it probably does hurt us a little bit in terms of work like that. But I think it's being, everybody is so ready to make video. Like it's been like preached for years now by social media folks like yourself. I mean, and marketers and everybody. It's like everybody's got a video. So that's really good for us, right? Because we don't have to educate really our clients. There's no education anymore. Like that's what it was. It was like, well, here's why you need a video. No, everybody already knows why they need a video. They just hire us to make it, which is great. We appreciate that. So that's probably the best benefit, right? Is that this demand that has been created and everybody needs video. And I believe that. And I think it's great for the business, but maybe that is the negative too, is that everybody can do it themselves now, but it's not like a negative because the people that could do it themselves were probably not going to call us to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. Like they just weren't going to have a video. Right. Now they can have a video, which is great.
I think it makes sense because it's the way that technology has evolved. And so there was going to have to be some way that everybody was going to be able to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Breaking the bank or, going and, buying a very large piece of equipment that they didn't know how to use.
Right.
I think it's nice that there's a more user-friendly option. Even before we actually started like the official recording, we were already talking about something that sparked my brain. Sam, you were talking about doing your videos at your new property, and I feel like you're doing those with your phone and not with your camera. I want to know how you feel, Sam, about using your camera doing the videos, and then I want Matt to respond.
Yeah. So I think, especially coming from a background of like photography, graphic design, video work, I've used my camera for not with relation to my property, but I've used my camera for projects and it definitely has a place. But I've noticed when I'm doing these kind of content creation, organic, especially because the content's like working on the property, homesteading, it's just more convenient to use your phone, set it up on a tripod, have it kind of going, be able to carry it around while I'm walking and just do quick kind of touch base, talk to my phone, talk to the audience kind of thing. So you're correct. I'm definitely using my phone. Sometimes my husband's phone too, if I need the multi angles. But it's definitely convenient. I mean, we're at a point where we have, especially with the cameras on phones nowadays, like they're pretty good quality. So it's nice to just have it in your pocket and be able to pull it out or set it up somewhere as you need.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a good, like when, for different projects require different cameras, right? Yeah, that makes a ton of sense, especially with what you're doing. I'm imagining out in the field with like, there's not power that you can plug something into if you needed it. Yeah, like the phones. Yeah, so it's makes a ton of sense to use a phone.
Yeah. And what I love too is, I've run into working with some clients or just, people wanting to get started. You feel like you need all this really expensive equipment, and especially tied to content creation. That's just not the case. I mean, you can get started. And then if you want to, you can scale up. Yeah. I think it's so easy to get caught up in what kind of equipment you need. But I mean, I got started with my phone, which is not a new phone. And it's probably about time to upgrade pretty soon. So an older phone, and then I got a $10 phone microphone to help my sound because I do a lot of content outside. So it helps cut down on the wind noises and things like that.
That's like the biggest challenge with phones. And that's one of the first things I would say that the viewers won't forgive either is bad audio. Like they'll forgive bad video before bad audio, right? So like if you're going to use your phone, make sure you have a mic that is picking you up and it sounds good and everything. So because that's going to keep them engaged longer, the viewers, right? Whether it's a phone or a camera, whatever you're recording with, the audio really matters.
Matt, I want to know, like, does New Image Media ever use a phone camera to do any content, or is it all, you guys have such really high-tech equipment? So.
I use phones all the time. It's another tool and another camera for us. That's the way we look at it. And like all of our social stuff, like our behind the scenes posts, those are all phones that we've used at like a shoot or something. But like like at a manufacturing facility, for example, like we might be able to get this phone in a spot where we couldn't get our other camera, right? And we use it for a shot, like, and in combination with our other cameras or production equipment, right? So, we use them not all the time, but we always have them with us, and that's what's nice about it, right? Because it's not every job we'll use it, but when we need to, we can. And sometimes a client might want that phone look. There's a reason. Like whether we are might have our lights and everything there, but we're going to record on a phone because that's what they want, that kind of a look.
Yeah. And thank you for confirming what I've been doing, because I am not professionally trained photographer or videographer. I feel self-trained. I think I took a photojournalism class in college at Cleveland State, but other than that, it's just been years of trial and error. And so when we get projects where we have to do longer form video, I do use my phone and I use my DSLR camera. And I have both set up. And I just have like a really cheap ring light. I try to use more natural light just because it's just easier to and more abundant. But I do have that set up, and sometimes when I'm setting up the DSLR, I'm like, man, am I just doing this for show?
Right.
Because I want this other angle, but the difference in the quality between the two is something that's concerning. Like when you're editing the phone video with the camera video.
Right.
Like what can we do? What tips do you have for people who are putting those types of pieces together?
Yeah. So if you're going to combine them both, I should have said there's tons of it. Sam, I'd be interested to know if you use any of these, like other apps. I hardly ever use the native phone video app that's on the iPhone. I have other apps like there's Black Magic. Not that I'm going to do product placements, but Black Magic has a good one. That's it's totally free, and it's like it lets you have more control over the camera settings than the native like iPhone does, right? So I'm maybe something that might happen that when you record with those, your DSLR might be set to a certain white balance, right? You have all those controls that you can make and dial in exactly, but your phone's default is usually has like auto white balance, auto exposure, auto all this stuff. So that makes it difficult to match sometimes. So I would say a recommendation would be find some app or something that lets you control the settings on your phone to make them match so both cameras are the same.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of white balance, because that would probably be the biggest noticeable change, right? You have one's white balance one way, the other one's another. And it's like that makes it difficult in the post too to kind of sync them up or make a match. So yeah, that would be a recommendation.
Yeah. And I'm sure my phone is newer than my DSLR, but it's still a good camera. I'm more hesitant to continue using the DSLR because it's clunky.
Yeah.
And if someone came to us and was like, we want a really big video production, I would be like, okay, well, I know this organization called New Image Media. Like, I'm not going to go out there by myself and go do the whole thing. I've done that. I did the mini documentary for the Latin American Historical Society of Cleveland, Ohio. And that was like a 7-minute thing. And I did that alone. I would do that again, but anything longer, I would definitely farm out to someone else. And let's just talk about people who either are making content now or industry experts that need to be making content. Mm-hmm. Can they just use their phone? Do they need to go out and get either a DSLR as well or a second phone? Sometimes I feel like I need a second phone just for the camera.
Yeah, second phone. Well, I'll say no. You don't need to get any extra equipment to get started. You should just get started. That's what I would say. Yeah, but yes. You don't. The second phone might be not a bad idea, right? Because the storage builds up fast on these. That is one of the bad parts. They're not
great.
Depending on which one you have, but you can now, a lot of them allow you to add external hard drives to record directly onto a hard drive instead of your internal phone storage. So there's some clunky stuff with phones still in that regard, right? It's like, how do you get the footage off? It's usually recorded at like a compression that's super compressed. It's not like your DSLR might record at a better compression and stuff, but yeah, second phone is not a bad idea, but I don't think any of it's needed. Right. You could just everybody has one of these that you could start with. And that's what I would recommend starting with for sure. And then a lot of our clients, it's a combination, like some of the best brands, even like the biggest brands, I imagine it's a combination still between professionally produced cameras and crews and all that. And then also like your phone content. And they both have a place. I think that's kind of my thought on it, especially one of the things I'll say, if it's like something that's going to live on your homepage for years, that might be the time where you maybe invest in like a production crew or a team or something. Yeah. But if it's something on social or a short, like a reel or something, yeah, it makes a ton of sense to do on your phone. And probably because then you could upload it directly from your phone right away. It's already on the platform that it needs to be, right?
Yeah. I love that Matt's already tying into, I feel like it's Boone Logic's consistent advice is to scale up. Like every time we talk about something, we're like, because to a point, I feel like human nature is to be like, I need all this stuff. I need it right away. I see what other people are doing. They're using this and that. I need that to get started. And that's just not the case. You want to kind of start small, start with what you have, and then build up where, you're not investing maybe money you don't have right off the bat, or just like the stress of having all these things before you get used to how you're creating content, what you're doing with it, what works for you. So definitely scaling up. And I mean, if let's take, for instance, like businesses who want to show more behind the scenes, you had mentioned, Matt, I love when people use, even if they're getting that professional piece done. I mean, we just saw this with Catalyst EDU. They have they're filming these episodes, the different sessions with the speakers, and they're using the phone to get the behind the scenes footage. Right. And that's great. Like, it's perfect for social. It it's a little less polished, which is perfect for that behind the scenes kind of human connection. Right. And then when they put out the actual educational session, that's the very professional, with cameras polished. So exactly like you were saying, that it's just finding, depending on what you're trying to do and what the intention for the piece is, it's going to make sense, what device you decide to use. But for people just getting started, if you have a bakery and you want to, do some more multimedia to show the different baked goods you're selling, to show your employees, you have your phone in your pocket. You can take it out, do some footage. And
yeah, like even when you said bakery, like restaurants who might do like a special, right, of the day. It's like, you don't need to bring a crew in to make a video about special, right? But this is perfect. Yeah, phone, that kind of thing, I think makes a ton of sense for those phones.
Now, what if so we're talking a lot about video.
Yep.
What if it's a restaurant or a bakery that's doing product photography?
Yeah.
Phone versus camera.
Good question. I don't know. I've mixed. Yeah, that one maybe it depends where the photos are going still, right? Yeah, if it's like for online, if it's going to be in your menu, I think a professional photo might make sense. Because the only reason I'm going to say that, or not the only reason, but one of the reason is like because that's such a advertising piece for that restaurant, or you want it to make that to look as savory or as delicious as possible, right? Sometimes, and it really probably comes down to the lighting more than even the camera. So if it's good lighting, a phone might work just fine, right? Yeah, it's like getting it in stage and plated, right? There's so much that goes into plating, especially with food photography. That's such a complicated one because it's like so difficult and
presentation matters.
So like those are not to say a phone couldn't do it, but it's really all the other stuff that goes around it as well,
Yeah,
so, I agree. That probably wasn't a good answer.
No, I agree completely. I mean, using the Hale Hollow homestead example, my profile photo, I used my DSLR for. I set it up. I have the auto, timer remote. I just hid in my poses because I wanted that was going to be, on every single account, kind of the main photo. I wanted it to be a little more high quality because it's the first kind of representation that people will see. And so that was something I was like, I need to use my camera that's going to take that better quality photo, not look pixelated and things like that. But then, when I'm just doing my general footage, and if I use photos and videos, I usually just take it with my phone. But the food example, this is just kind of funny. I did a reel making homemade pizza, and YouTube hates my homemade pizza. I got some, which I was like, I thought it was delicious. You guys have bad taste. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, you mean the comments of it, the users?
Yes. Well, so to be fair, I say this, it was like 2 mean comments, right?
Yeah. Well, those are the ones that stick in your head, right? Those
stick out, yeah. And, they don't show you the likes initially, but the comments are right in your face. So, a bunch of more people liked the video, but I had 2 mean comments that were aggressive. I was like, you're very passionate about pizza you're not eating, but okay. But that probably would have been a good example of maybe I should have used my camera for that, because the phone didn't do justice to show the pizza. So it was buffalo chicken as well. So it was a ranch base. So it made the whole thing look kind of washed out. So I was like, it doesn't do it justice. It tasted a lot better than it looks. So that, food does make a difference. And I'm not always filming food, so I didn't think of it. I had my phone balanced outside a cabinet with a water glass holding it in place to get the overhead shot, working with what I have, and didn't think anything of it. And I go to edit it, and people initially were just like, that looks like trash.
Well, I bet it tasted great though.
Oh, it tasted delicious. Yeah. I was like, I'm usually more sensitive, but I was like, I'm actually not even offended because I know how good that pizza was, and you're just completely wrong.
Right.
Like, you can't offend me when I know you're incorrect.
Right.
But I do think that, and that's a reel. That's going to be, that's already out of people's minds.
Right.
So it doesn't have that longevity, but in menus, I think if you're investing in printing something and it's going to have a long shelf life, that's a good example of when the professional camera should come out. Because I've been to restaurants where the photos, and they don't even look like the food. The food in person looks much better than the menu.
Right. Right. Yeah, it could go either way too sometimes, right? Yeah, or the pictures look really, really good.
And then it's true. Well, that's nice. They're like, well, they already bought the food, so
yeah, right.
Yeah, it worked well for them.
Then it becomes the taste, right? Yeah, then it's
yeah. It's easier on a phone to edit something very quickly and make it look how you want it to look, and add whatever embellishments and everything, compared to doing it on a camera on a handheld camera. You'd have to actually like sit at a computer.
Yeah, there's like some decompression time or processing time that you have to like.
Right.
Yeah, it's not as immediate, right? Yeah.
Something sparked my brain, and I was just like, it was the point about access, and like we want people to have access, but not to do crazy stuff.
Right.
We want them to have access because we want you to be able to document the things that you need to document, but it's not always for the right reasons. Right. That doesn't really have anything to do with our topic of phone versus camera, but I really wanted to make a point.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, and I'll kind of tie it back. I'm pretty sure it's Spider-Man that I'm just about to quote, but with great power comes great responsibility. That's Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, I'm going to say yeah.
Yes.
I think so. I just
I'm confirming 100%.
But it's with phones, and I think this is how it ties it back, because for anyone who's making any form of video, just because you can have a faster turnaround, doesn't mean you have to without thinking.
Right.
So this kind of, and we've brought up similar conversations when we talked about AI, right? It's important to remember to keep it human centric. So when you record something, think about why you're recording it, because I think there's a ton of examples of people recording stuff without actually thinking what they're doing, and whether that's because they're, as a person, detaching from what is actually happening because they're caught up in the, oh my goodness, this is going to get so many views, this is going to go viral.
Yeah.
So it's taking that moment to think about what you're recording, why you're recording it, and if you were just someone viewing it, what are you getting from that? So if you're a business, that'll help you produce the best video you can. Going back to a restaurant example, like what would your viewers be interested in?
Right.
If you're a personal vlogger and you see, something happen, I see all the time, like people videotaping like fights and assaults on the street. And yes, if you post that, it's probably going to get a lot of views. It's, but why are you doing it? What's your purpose behind it? Is it something you should be doing just because you happen to catch it?
Right.
So I think with accessibility, and whether you're using your camera or your phone, think about why you're doing it. And then that can kind of help lead to what you should then do with it.
Yeah.
I think it's well said.
What's the story you're trying to tell?
Exactly. Which goes back to Boom Logic storytelling. Like, it's so important when you produce content. I love when things come together.
Right.
When you produce content, you always should have a story in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you want it to be connected to your mission, to your values. So when you record something, have that in mind.
Yeah.
Matt, how do you guys intertwine storytelling in when you're doing your video shoots with your different clients?
There's a few different approaches, and a lot of our clients are agencies. So, or like they'll have a marketing, or we'll work with a marketing person so they sometimes will have that story. Oftentimes, right? We're not crafting the story as much as like they are saying, this is the story. We'll help them with the story, right? So, a lot, like I'll do an easy example, I guess, would be like the interview. There's two main ways we do like for interviews once, right? One approach is we just shoot an interview that might be an hour long, and then we just hope that we're going to find the story in the edit, right? Yeah, and it works. It just is it's where the time is spent, right? Is the time spent before the shoot or after the shoot?
Right.
So the other way would be, no, we're going to write this dream script. Say, we're going to interview people to get the dream script. But this is, if I had this dream script or story, right? You do all that ahead of time and go, this is what I want everybody to say. And then you craft those questions for the interviews to get that specific answer.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So then you're actually recording less. The shoot oftentimes is less in terms of time, and the editing is actually less because you're only working with the sound bites that are going to craft that story. So those are like two ways. I don't know if that is how we help with them. Right. And we can help when someone comes to us and reaches out, we'll kind of gauge what approach might work best. Because sometimes it is just record for an hour because you don't know what you're going to make.
Right.
Yeah. And then some people, that's what they prefer. And then you have 30 minutes or an hour worth of interview footage. You could come revisit and make a whole nother story out of. Right?
Exactly.
So,
interviews are interesting because I imagine when you work with people and you're interviewing, you're probably using like the full camera setups.
Yep.
As opposed to phones.
Yep.
Which makes sense because if people are doing like a really polished interview, you want that kind of professional look. And so for our clients, we've done interview series, which of course ours are aimed for social media specifically. So it makes more sense. We're using the phone. But it just made me think when you're talking about the different types of interviews, and sometimes you record for like an hour just to get them talking and then from there edit and see what you get. We do those all the time. And I think part of it too is people almost forget there's a phone in front of them because it's smaller.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So they get So they get into like this stream of conscious, and they're just chit chatting, and Faith sends me over an hour and a half of footage, and I'm like, I got it.
Yeah.
I'll send it out of it.
Well, that's what AI is really good for too, helping you digest some of that footage too, like in terms of the transcript, right? Yeah, I don't know if you're using it in that way. Yeah, because it's really it's like I'm looking for sound bites that talk about this, this, and this, and it'll go through it and pull out. Yeah, like
I will say this is related but slight tangent. One of my recent favorite tools, which I use all the time cutting clips for the podcast when we make reels to promote, is Adobe has a clip maker. Yeah. So you can upload your video and it'll pull a whole bunch of options of, once it goes through the video, what it deems are like high engaging points of discussion. And then I can go from there, review them, be like, this was just our introduction. Like, yes, it's interesting, but people know it. They hear it every episode. Right. So kind of go from there, but massive time saver. So to kind of close us out, I have one more question for you. So from all your years of experience, seeing how video has changed, how your role with it has changed, for someone who wants to start incorporating more video, whatever it may be for, if it's for social media, maybe they want to add some video elements to their website. What are your kind of top tips for someone getting started to put their best foot forward? If maybe they don't have the big budget or necessarily even a ton of time to devote towards it, but they want to get started.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you definitely don't need to buy a ton of equipment. I think the only thing I would recommend so definitely a phone, because pretty much I'm assuming everybody has a phone, right? Because this is definitely the camera you need. I would say the only thing to invest in would be a microphone. A microphone to record good audio, and then you want to get close to the subject. So some practical tips, right? Get close to the subject, use good lighting if you can. So but that doesn't mean you need to buy a light. You just get near a window. Don't sit in front of a window and record. Then you're just going to be all backlit, right? Yeah. So using lighting, and you can use practical lighting to your advantage, right? Yeah. Like how to position yourself. And then, microphone. And then what else would I say? Maybe vertical versus horizontal. Like know when to use them. I know we didn't really get into that. And don't interchange them. That's where it gets funky. It's like I'm going to record a video like this and then halfway through I'm going to turn it like this. Right. Then it gets So and certain vertical works great for certain platforms, and horizontal is great for other reasons too, right? Most of our stuff's still horizontal if it ends up on a website or something somewhere. But I know now I'm probably going too far, but if you're just getting started, microphone, try to use the best light you can. And then just do it.
I think that's just do it. And where you were talking about horizontal versus I just did it backwards, horizontal versus vertical, to know where you're putting it. So if it's going on your website, you probably want it horizontal. If you're making a reel for social media, record it vertical. Because I know from experience, you definitely don't want to try to switch it when you're editing.
Pain, right. Yeah. There's ways around it. And you see it on the news all the time where they do like that blurred like background effect. Where it's like to try to make it wide, right? But it's it's better to shoot
it's not ideal.
Yeah. And then oh shoot, I had something else. Never mind. I lost it.
Oh.
It'll come back to me
all the time.
It'll come back to me. But yeah, no, that was those were good ones. So just keep it simple though and just get started with it.
Good.
Well, that's the best advice, because I feel like so many people psych themselves out of it. Like they're almost scared to start. But you don't learn if you don't start.
Yep.
And
and then I remember what I was going to say. Don't get discouraged if you only have like a couple views. Because it does that doesn't, I should say it doesn't matter. I guess if you're trying to go viral, I guess that's your goal. But like we've done videos for businesses, and I actually have a quote. I don't think it's on our website anymore, but it was like, we made a video for a guy who was trying to sell to someone in another country who didn't speak English. And like that one video that was viewed by one person, and he ended up selling something for like, it was like a big equipment machine. That was like multi-million-dollar like sale that he got out of that one video. It's like, well, only one person saw it, and it's online. It's like, it has like a few views. That doesn't, it's the, who it was for and the impact of it is like, that's, so don't get discouraged, I'll say.
It did its job. It definitely did its job.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. It's not like, the views is not the only way to measure success.
And even still, I mean, it takes a while for things to grow. And also now, I know we were earlier talking about how social media has less of a shelf life, things are content's constantly rotating. And then the number of times I've seen old content, people come across it and then it, gets its major views after it's been around.
Right. Yeah.
For a while.
It took a while to find its audience. Yeah.
Yeah. But if it's not out there, it'll never find the audience.
Right.
So
right. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of like, you can really get into the weeds when you're doing research too. So don't overwhelm yourself.
Don't let your ADHD take over.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Matt. It was amazing. Round of applause for our first guest.
Oh, thank you. I hope you want to do more guests after this, and I didn't put a bad.
This has made me so excited to have more guests on, because I love talking to Faith, but we love talking to people in general. So having a different perspective has been fun.
Sure, I loved it, Matt. I thought it was great. You've really grown with New Image Media and the Chambers too. But really thing, and like it's so great to see you coming into your own with the business and everything. So I'm super excited, because that just means that we're going to be able to work together longer.
Absolutely.
Because you're not going to retire as soon as Steve is.
Correct.
So that's really exciting for me and for Sam. And I loved the conversation. I know I went off on some tangents there, but I thought that they were related, and I thought that it was
all the way to connect the stuff.
Yeah. No, I thought, it was great. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you again for agreeing to come on the Logic Loop.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you believe that strong relationships are the foundation of great storytelling, then the Logic Loop community is the place for you.
Check out the show notes for more ways you can get involved, and we hope you will tune in again for our next episode of The Logic Loop. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Well, thanks again for having me, Faith and Sam. It's been a pleasure. And if newmagemedia.com is our URL, and if anybody needs help with video, graphics, animation, or photography, I'd be happy to help.
Awesome.